Hi everyone, my name is Elizabeth. This is Frizzy Lizzie Stitches, and today I have a 2022 finish parade for you. So this video is going to be kind of a sequel to my last video, which was my 2023 whip parade, which are all the whips that I'm going to be starting 2023 with. And then this video is going to be a 2022 finish parade. So it's basically everything that I finished last year in 2022, because today is January the 1st, 2023. All right. So yes. Piper has come to join us. She's probably curious about what's all on the floor. This probably will be the last time that I sit in this location for my videos, because obviously Christmas is over now. My birthday is coming up. It's like on the 7th, which is today's Sunday, so it's the next Saturday coming up. And I just like to leave the Christmas decorations up until my birthday. So yeah, I'm gonna leave the tree up, but my next video will be, even though the tree will still be up, I'm gonna probably move back to my desk. So I did have a few noise things happening in my last few videos with me sitting in this location. The first one, I think my dishwasher was running, and then like the second one, the AC/heater unit is like right behind me, so that was kind of making a lot of racket. I did make sure to turn it off this time, so hopefully it won't make any noise. And then we can have a nice, you know, no background sound type of video. So yeah. Okay, so like I said, this is my finish parade for everything I finished in 2022. If this is the first video of mine that you are clicking on, since this is kind of like a broad, not in regular FlossTube, I guess, I just want to introduce myself very briefly if you maybe didn't watch the whip parade. My name is Elizabeth. I am originally from Mississippi, but I am currently living in Ohio. I am going to be turning 27 this week, and I've been stitching since October of 2020. Yeah, and then I started my FlossTube May of 2021, and yeah, so that's kind of, I guess, me in a nutshell. At the end of this video, I'm going to have some Stitchy Stats, so a bunch of, look how cute Piper's being. Oh my goodness. But anyway, at the end of this video, I'm going to have some Stitchy Stats for you all. So basically, I use an app called Toggl, T-O-G-G-L, and it's made for like businesses to, I guess, have employees like track how long they're spending on different projects, but you can download it for free and just use it for personal use. So that's what I do for my projects, my cross stitch projects. So each one has its own little, I guess, project on Toggl, and then whenever I work on it, I just press start, and when I'm done, I press stop, and then over time it kind of adds up all that time together. And then it also has some nice reporting features. So I'm not going to go into how I use Toggl, but I am going to use some screenshots from the website to show the Stitchy Stats. So yeah, I am an engineer by trade, so I'm super into the data and graphs and stuff. So I think that'll be really fun. But yeah, okay, let's see. Oh yeah, and then if you want to follow anything else about me that's not on this channel, you can find me on Instagram. And if you like books, you can follow me on Goodreads. And then my pets, Piper and Wilson. Piper is a cat that I just showed you, and then Wilson is somewhere over there. He's an Aussie Doodle. They also have an Instagram, and all those links are down in the description. So yeah, so we're gonna start with the oldest finish first, and then move chronologically. I'm going to give you all the project details, like, you know, fabric, floss, designer, chart, all that kind of stuff. And then also I'm going to give you any FFO details if applicable. A lot of these things are not fully finished. I think actually only 2 of them are. So, but I do have plans and intentions for how I want to finish some of these things, so I will share that with you. And I'm also going to tell you how long it took me to stitch that whole project. There are a couple on here where I started using toggle after I started the project, so they're not completely accurate, but I'm still gonna share it with you anyway. So yeah, I think we can get started. Another thing I think actually before we go through it all is I just wanted to briefly show you how I store my finished projects between being finished and then being fully finished. So this is just like a pants hanger, and I have these like pieces of felt on here to kind of just protect the fabric from the clip. But I just have all of my all of my finishes kind of hung up on here. And I actually got this idea from Rocio from Stitchery. I know she hasn't posted videos in a while, but if you haven't ever watched her, I highly recommend going and binging her videos because she's got great content, and I really enjoy watching videos when she does put them out. But yeah, I saw in one of her videos she was actually going through a bunch of things that she finished, and she had her finishes hanging on a hanger, and I was like, that's genius, because then you can iron it and hang it up and it won't wrinkle. So this is actually a finish from last year that I have yet to frame, but that might be changed this year because I think I found something to finish it with. So anyway, but we're gonna go through this whole little thing. I'm not gonna give you details on this because this was last year, but yeah, so let's get into it. They are not in order on this hanger, so I am gonna have to kind of just deal with it as I'm filming here. Okay, let's see. So the first one to show that I finished is Cozy Cafe. Where is it? Here it is. All right, so Cozy Cafe is a project that I mainly stitched on in 2021, and I pretty much had finished it by the end of 2021, except for a little bit of one cup and the beading. So I started this, this is by, Cozy Cafe by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. I started this June 10th, 2021, and then I finished it January 29th, 2022. And this is what my finish looks like. I absolutely love this piece. I was really excited about it when the sale started, because I just thought the first part that came out was that raspberry mocha cup with the panda on it. And I just thought it was so stinking cute, and I just had to start it. So I bought a kit from Frosted Pumpkin. So this is all the called for materials. I believe this is 28 count fabric, and it's a picture of this plus linen in the color, I believe it's called Opal. And then all the floss is DMC, and then there's some Mill Hill beads kind of scattered throughout. I think the only cup, there's two cups that don't have beads, the Earl Grey tea and the chai. Those do not have beads, but the rest of them do. So as you can see at the bottom there, it says established 2021. Since even though I did finish this in 2022, I still left the 2021 just because that's when I did pretty much all the stitching on this one. So like I said, I started this June 10th. I did not start using toggle until July. So there's technically like probably maybe like a week's worth of time that I did not track on toggle with this project, but the time that I did track added up to 86 hours and 27 minutes. So quite a big project. I did not write down any of the stitch counts for these. That might be something I can improve upon for next time, because I think it might make more sense to have the time and then be able to compare that to the stitch count. But I'm gonna try to scoot up so I can get a little closer. All right, so yeah, this is what it looks like. The color is not quite right with the camera today, but this is as good as we're gonna get. I did not pull out the ring light just because I didn't feel like it. But I think my favorite is probably the mocha. I just think it's adorable. And then I really did enjoy the matcha cup, but you can kind of see the beads in there. So yeah, It's a really cute piece. I would love to have this framed. I don't know if it's a standard size or not. I have a feeling it's probably not. But yeah, I definitely want to put this in a frame. So that's that one. Okay, and if I talk any longer, this video is going to be forever. So okay, the next thing that I finished was Garden Party. This again is another project that I started before I started using Toggle. So the time on this is probably not really very accurate at all. So let's see. This is Garden Party by Satsuma Street. This is on a 25 count Lugana from Zweigart in the color Vintage Country Mocha. This pattern actually comes in 2 different colorways, warm and cool. The cool one is like blues and greens and yellows, and then this is the warm one, which as you can see is like red, pink, orange, and purple. I mainly picked this pattern because of that sunshine in the middle. It reminded me of It's a Small World from Disney World. And yeah, so I don't think I said, this is a 2/2. So it's a very chunky boy with the really fat stitches. If I get too close, the lighting just looks kind of weird, but I love that purple mushroom. It's probably my favorite part. And I did sneak in my initials right there. And then I snuck in the year right there. So I started this May 1st, 2021. Finished it on April 16th, 2022. And then according to what I have tracked on Toggle, it took me 40 hours and 55 minutes. But there's like 2 months worth of time missing from that. So I don't truly know how long it took me, but yeah. So this one is actually, I guess like in the cover chart for the warm version, she has it finished as a pillow, and then the cover chart for the blue one, she has finished as like a wall hanging. I do want to finish it as a pillow. So I've never made a pillow this big, and I definitely have not made a hexagonal pillow. So my intention is to take this to keepsakes and see if one of the ladies on the finishing team can work some magic and make me a hexagon pillow out of this one. So I think it'd be really fun. I feel like a Tula pink fabric would look really good on the back. But we will see. So I feel like it's got the same kind of vibe as a lot of those Tula pink fabrics. So, and I think that might be all I have to say about this one. So I absolutely love this one. This is probably like I think there's like 10 finishes maybe that I have to show today, and I think this one I would probably put in my top 3 favorite. So, all right. Let me flip my notebook over here. Alright, so the next finish is, let's see. This is the last one that, Piper, don't do that. This is the last one that I started before I started using Toggle. But I think it's probably still somewhat accurate because I started this like a month before I started using Toggle. So, but this is Little Women by Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts. Let's get this over here. Piper's just being really gentle over here, touching my things. Okay, so this is Little Women by Sapphire Mountain Handcrafts. I started this on June 16th, 2021, and I finished it on June 17th, 2022. This was actually my StitchCon finish, so I got to ring the bell at StitchCon when I finished this. And yeah, so this is stitched on 28 count linen from Zweigart, and I think it's called Vintage Smoky White, but it's a very lightly modeled. You can kind of tell that it's like kind of a white fabric with like gray splotches on it. But yeah, so I stitched the house and the Little Women part like basically here up to here in a Q-snap, and then I actually tried stitching in hand for all these words and pretty much the rest of this like turquoise border, and that worked out really well for me. So I might try, I don't know, so this is 28 count and it was really easy to stitch in hand. I don't really know, I feel like it would be more difficult to do a smaller count in hand, but I also have never tried, so I'm not sure. But yeah, and I did read the book while I was stitching on this. I read the book with a paper copy the first half, and then I listened to it on audio for the second half. And the audio helped me out a lot because I kind of was struggling to get through it. Not because it's a bad book, but because it's just, I think it's a little dense, and it was just more digestible for me to listen to it. So the biggest change that I made on this project was the side borders right here. So in the original charted design, the side borders actually match this little purple vine flower situation. But I wanted to see more of the blue in this pattern because it was only used like right here, and then Joe's name, and then like the door. So yeah, I really wanted to bring in more of that blue. So I think the original charted design had, so it had this, and then it had maybe like an inch of this little zigzag thing here. So I just brought the zigzag all the way down. It did not line up, so I did actually have to move either the top or the bottom off by like a stitch or so. But I like drew it all out. I like printed out my chart and drew it all out to make it line up right. But I really enjoyed that change that I made. So that's kind of the first big change I've ever made to a project too. So, but yeah. And then according to what I logged in Toggle, I stitched this for 31 hours and 37 minutes. But again, I think that might be a little bit longer because I did start using Toggle like a month after I started this. So, and again, I want to put this in a frame. So, yeah, it's a little too big to do really anything else with, and I don't really want to turn it into like a pillow or something. So, but yeah, that's that one. I think, I want to say Shelby from Stitches by Shelby stitched hers on like a 40 count maybe, and it was so tiny and cute, and I really am curious to know if it was small enough to finish onto a book, because during the Jingle Ball, Teresa Kogut was showing a bunch of her finishes, and she finished a lot of things on vintage books, and I just think that would have been a really cute finish idea for this pattern, but mine's too big for that. Unless I find like a vintage encyclopedia or atlas or something. Alright, so next on the list is actually an FFO'd piece. And I did not grab the book that this is from, but I think you all might know what I'm talking about anyway. So this is Unplug and Go Outside from Emma Congdon's book, Cross Stitch for the Earth. This is the first design in the book. And this is what mine looks like. So I started this on, what is it? I wrote 21. Oh no, I didn't. I started this on February the 13th. My handwriting looked a little wonky. Oh, and forgive my stupid little nail. I was doing something, and this is the dip powder or whatever. And yeah, so I did something in the dip powder, cracked off this nail, and so I just kind of removed the rest of it and then trimmed my nail back. So yeah, it looks really kind of janky right now, but whatever. Back to the stitching. This is Unplug and Go Outside. It's not actually called that. It's actually called Design 1. But like I said, Emma Congdon, it's from her book, Cross Stitch for the Earth. Started it on February the 13th of this year. Oh, not this year, because it's 2023 now. I started it February 13th of 2022. And then I finished it July 31st, 2022. Stitched on this for 48 hours and 8 minutes. And this frame that I found is from like, it's from some Bed Bath & Beyond collection called like Bee and Willow or something. But it was like in the clearance section, and I think it just looks really good with this. Kind of brings out the brown in the whole nature aspect of this piece. The only thing I'm bummed about is I was so excited when I finished this and to get it into this frame that I did not stitch my initials and the year that I stitched it. And I was not about to take this out. So I haven't done this yet, but I'm probably just gonna make some sort of sticker or something to put on the back of this that says, you know, that I stitched it in this year and all that kind of stuff. So, but yep, this is Unplug and Go Outside. I absolutely love this. It astounds me how much detail she was able to fit in such a small amount of space. So, love that. I think another funny thing about this is Bobby made the comment once that he was like, I think it's so funny that this is called Unplug and Go Outside, but you stay inside to stitch it. So, yeah. But that's that one. Again, this is like only, there's this one and then one other that was fully finished. Everything else is just kind of still just the fabric, so. Okay, so the next thing that I finished, I don't have with me anymore because it was part of a Halloween swap. But what I'm talking about is Ghost Sampler by Lola Cross Stitch. I'm gonna put a picture up right here and leave it up while I'm talking about it. So this was actually something that I stitched for Shelby from Stitches by Shelby, and this was part of a Halloween smalls exchange that I did with several other floss tubers and I guess just some other Instagram Stitchy community people. And let's see, I started it on August the 7th, 2022 and finished it on August the 30th, 2022. It took me 13 hours and 12 minutes to stitch it, and I finished it in a hoop. I had wrapped the hoop with some black fabric, and then I made a little hoop butt for the back that matched and tied a little ribbon on the top. And the main changes that I made to this pattern, it originally calls for black fabric with like a green outline for each of the ghosts, but I chose a purple fabric. Specifically, I think it was a 32 count linen from Fox and Rabbit called Tibucina, which is, I think, like a flower, which is a purple flower, which is why they called it that. And I changed the outline of the ghost to be like a light purple. So yeah, really enjoyed stitching that, and I was super proud of that finish. And I'm so glad that it went to a good home because Shelby loves it just as much as I do. So, and while we're talking about this one, I do plan on filming a hoop finishing tutorial. The only reason I haven't is because I don't have anything to finish in a hoop right now. So that's probably gonna change in the next month or so. Maybe the next quarter or so. Because I don't really have a pattern in mind right now that is hoop finishable. That could be finished in a hoop. But regardless, next time I finish something in a hoop, I will show you how I did it, because I plan to do it the same way I did Shelby's finish. So yeah, okay. That's all for that one. Okay, so the next finish I have for you is Reaping Love by Silvercreek Samplers. I started this on June 17th, 2022. This is the same day that I finished Little Women at StitchCon. And then I finished stitching this on October the 7th, 2022, which is a year before Bobby and I will get married. So anyway, this is I Love You to Death, or it's called Reaping Love. It says I Love You to Death. But yeah, and let's see. This linen is a 32 count from Fortnite Fabrics, and it's called Cozy Cave. And I stitched with all the called for floss, 2/2. Pro tip, if you plan on stitching this and you are going to be using 2 strands of floss, you are going to need 2 skeins of charcoal by Weeks. Because the IU Death and the Reaper's Cloak all use charcoal by Weeks. So go ahead and get yourself 2 skeins so you don't run out. But yeah, and then I've got me and Bobby's initials in there, which I think is really cute because obviously my initials are going to change. Kind of conflicted about that because I go by my middle name, but I don't want to get rid of my first name or my last name, so I think I'm just going to have 2 middle names. But anyway. And then I did put the year in there, right there. So, I plan to finish this as a flat fold. I think it's a good size for that. Just gotta find a good coordinating fabric to go with it. So yeah, but I really love how quirky and funny this stitch is. So, and it didn't take me very long. This entire thing took 26 hours and 37 minutes. So, you know, if you're not doing anything else, you could just sit there and stitch for 24 hours straight. You'd almost have this done. But yep. I feel like I listened to a lot of the Bergman Brothers books while I was stitching this, which is funny to, it's funny when you look at your stitching and you can remember like what you were listening to or watching. But yeah, I love this one. It's so cute. All right. And actually what's even funnier too is Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch also stitched this. She's kind of the reason why I started, or I guess I was what's the word, enabled to stitch this. But so she's married now, so she's got her new last name. But what's hilarious is, so I have Bobby, obviously his name's Robert, and then she has Rob, whose name is Robert. But they both their last names start, both their last names start with a B. So technically they have the same initials, which is kind of funny. So I guess Elizabeth Ann says E-T in RB, and mine says E-O in RB. So yeah, I just thought that was funny. All right, so let's see. Next on the list is Touch of Magic by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. So this is, after this we have 2 more finishes, so in case you're wondering. But this is Touch of Magic by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. Let's see, I started this May 24th, 2022, and I finished it October 24th, 2022. And it took me 56 hours and 24 minutes. And I want to turn this into a wall hanging. So that was kind of how they modeled it on the, I guess, the cover image or whatever. It was a mystery stitch along, so I guess the cover image technically was like a blurred out thing. But they do have a tutorial on how to finish something into a wall hanging, so yeah. I really love this. I love the bright, vibrant colors on this muted fabric. And then I think my favorite word is probably black cat or spell. Those are my favorites. And then honestly, as like annoying as it was to stitch, that ghost and the words full moon look fantastic. So yeah, I love this piece. And I did stick my initials there at the bottom. I know some people don't like to put their initials in the year in their pieces, because I know Steph from Just Keep Stitching, she said that she doesn't like it because she thinks it distracts from the piece. And I can definitely see that, but I think I like seeing it because, you know, a decade from now when I look at this, or like if my kids see this, they'll be like, oh, that's that's mom's initials, or that's grandma's initials. You know, I just think the historical aspect of, you know, signing your work, I guess, is pretty cool to look at in the future. So, but yeah, that's this one. And yeah, I want to finish it to a wall hanging. So ideally before Halloween, so I can actually put it on display. So next up, turn the page again, is Coraline Figure by Abbie Sue Designs. So this is what it looks like. This I started on November 13th, 2022, and I finished it not even a month later on December the 3rd, 2022. It took me 22 hours and 53 minutes to stitch, and I would like to finish this in an oval frame. This is stitched on 32 count opalescent Lugana from Color and Cotton called Salem, and it's just stitched with DMC. And yeah, I think that's it as far as details. I did not actually write down all these fabrics, and so if I forget to say one for something and you're curious what it is, just leave me a comment and I will get back to you. So anyway, but this is Coraline Figure. I was really excited when, so she had teased this on her Instagram because she posted like a reel of her doing the back stitch. and I was like, oh my gosh, I need that. And then she didn't come out with the pattern for like another month or so, but as soon as she did, I was like, I gotta stitch it now. So I did. Love it. This is like one of my favorite movies, so that's why I was so excited. And I did sneak my initials right there underneath her bag. So, all right, next up is a tiny little ornament. This is Gingerbread House Globe by Mill Hill. I think last time I showed this to you, I was like halfway done stitching it. Sorry, I know you can't see that from here. I'm trying to get closer. That's another thing about sitting on the floor is I like to sit cross-legged, but if I sit like that for too long, my legs start to hurt. So anyway, I guess I'm getting old. But anyway, this is Mill Hill Gingerbread House Globe. And I absolutely loved stitching this. I think the beads really brought it together. It just looks so great. And then on the back, I just glued some glittery blue paper to it, which made it really easy to cut around it. And then the hanger is, like called for in the chart, is like some of the leftover beads. You just kind of thread them all on some DMC and tie it on the back and you're good. So, yep, this is my 2022 ornament. And while I was stitching on this, there was a combination of things that I was doing. One of them was watching Muppet Christmas Carol for the first time. I don't know why it took me so many years to finally watch it, but it was so stinking cute. If you have not watched the Muppet version of Christmas Carol, you need to go do yourself a favor and check that off your list because it was just so cute. And then I also was listening to an audiobook, which was technically, I guess, a sequel or companion to The Tattooist of Auschwitz. This one was called Silka's Journey, and it was a fantastic book. I haven't talked about books in a while because I haven't had a FlossTube update in like a month, but yeah, that was such a good book. Heather Morris, the author, does a really great job doing a bunch of research to make sure that what she's writing about is as true as it can be, because she did have to fabricate stuff because Silka was not alive when she wrote it, so she wasn't able to interview her like she did Lola for Tattooist of Auschwitz. But yeah, I listened to the audiobook for that while I was stitching this. So oh, and I don't think did I mention it took me 13 hours to stitch that, and I obviously finished it as an ornament. I don't think I even said when I started and finished it. I started this December the 3rd and I finished it December the 20th. So okay, now we can move on. Okay, this is the final finish of 2022. This is my beloved little, okay, first off, too, this is the only project that is both in my 2023 Whip Parade and my 2022 Finish Parade. It's Possum Song by Mama Witch Cross Stitch. So let me see if I can put this behind, because the black fabric in the tree just doesn't really go. All right, here he is. So this is Pauly, P-A-U-L-Y. Anyway, he's got his banjo, he's got his moonshine. Oh, it's washing out. Okay. And yeah, I absolutely love this piece. I started this August 23rd, 2021, and I finished it December 28th, 2022. It took me 44 hours and 36 minutes to stitch. My hand is cramping up here. Yeah, and I would like to finish this in a circular frame, except for this technically I think is an oval, but we will see what we can find. Yeah, and this is a 16 count Black Ada, all the called for DMC. So one thing I do want to talk about is the banjo strings. So obviously they're strings, so I didn't want to have to do like a traditional back stitch where you go, you're breaking it up several stitches at a time because it's supposed to be a string. So basically I did what's called couching. I never even knew what couching was until I heard Honeybee Stitcher talk about it, because she did it for, I think, her Dark Queen of the Earth stitch along. There was some like Krynick or something that she was trying to put on there, and anyway, so she did couching, and I was like, what the heck is that? And I Googled it, and basically, so I stitched, you know, one long string between the start and end point, and then in places in between, I just kind of tacked it down with the floss. So I basically would come up in a hole, go around the long string, and then go back down in the same hole. So I don't know how well I'm gonna be able to show this on camera. Really not at all. Because I am using like the front camera on my phone, so it doesn't get too detailed. But yeah, I can't really tell if you can see that or not, but there are a couple places, there's like 3 places where I tacked the strings down so that it looked like an actual string on the banjo and not just like it was broken up doing the back stitch, if that makes any sense. So yeah, anyway. And then I did put my initials in right there. So that is Possum Song by Mama Witch Cross Stitch. So, and that was my, like I said, my last finish for 2022. So, all right, we are moving on to the Stitchy Stats now. So basically I have my computer over here. I'm gonna read all the stuff from the computer, but for you, I'm going to put a screenshot of the charts so that you can see what I'm looking at. The screen recording on my last video turned out really well, but I don't think I really need to do a screen recording. I think I just need to show you a picture. So, all right, let me get it pulled up here. All right, so I have my data here. First, let's see, I'm trying to think the best order of data to give you. Okay, so I think I'm gonna start, so basically, according to what I have tracked, in 2022, I spent 470 hours stitching. So that's quite a lot. I did not do the math to see how many, like if you divide that by 24, how many days that is, because I feel like that might be interesting. Let's see. 470 divided by 24. That is roughly not 20 days of stitching. Like if you were to do nothing but stitch, that's about how much it is. So that's kind of wild to think about, because I pretty much stitch mostly every day. There are definitely some days where I don't stitch at all, but I feel like usually when I stitch, it's usually for about at least an hour. So anyway, that's kind of cool to look at. But yeah, so in January, this is where I'm going to put the bar graph up here. I'm sorry if this comes out really chaotic. I haven't done this before, so hopefully it's not too bad. But okay, so for January, I spent 18 hours. February, 25, almost 26 hours. March was 13. I don't know why that was so low that month, but yeah, who knows. April was 29. May was 17. That one was definitely low because that's the month that Bobby graduated and that we moved to Ohio. And then June, July, and August, I got a ton of stitching done per month. So June, I got 63 hours, July, 86 hours, and August, 67. And the reason why I have so many hours accumulated in those months is because I was unemployed during that time. So I had a lot of free time on my hands. Stitching was pretty much I guess part of my job was job hunting, and then the other part was stitching. So yeah, definitely got a lot of stitching done this summer, which was why I was able, I think, to get so many things finished this year. So yeah, and then September, it, went down a lot to 37. I still didn't have a job at that point, but I did go visit my family for like 10 days, and I don't think I stitched at all during that visit. And then October, I got 45 hours. November, 44. That's the month that I started my job. And then December, 38 hours. So yeah, pretty crazy. I definitely started, like I said, stitching a ton during the summer. And then I think I've just kept trying to keep it really making it a priority, I guess. So yeah, and let's see. So I think For the entire year, I worked on a total of 19 projects, and so it actually breaks it down by like, it adds up all the time between the projects and gives you like a percentage, like what percent of that 470 hours was a certain project. So the project that I spent the most time on at a whopping 12% was Touch of Magic. And then tied at 11% is Haunted Library and Sweetest Pie. Those are still ongoing WIPs. At 10% was Unplug and Go Outside, which is a finish. 9% was Sweetheart Campfire. That definitely is still a WIP. Tied at 8% is Possum Song and Garden Party, which are both finishes this year. 6% is Reaping Love, and then the rest, which is 26%, is like all the other projects. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, I guess 8, 11. So 11 projects make up that 26%, and they're all basically like 5% or less time spent on it. So yeah, pretty crazy. Let's see. I also wrote down a couple other things. So I started 2022 with 9 WIPs, and I ended 2022 with 9 WIPs. If you watched my WIP parade, I go over kind of some of my Stitchy goals. One of them is to reduce my WIP count to 5. So hopefully I can make that happen. The number of SAFs that I had this year, start and finish, was 6. So there were 6 projects that I started this year and also finished this year. And then, like I said, I worked on 19 projects this year and I had 10 finishes. So yeah, and let's see. I showed you the monthly graph, I went over the pie chart, and I told you the total time stitched. So I think that's all the Stitchy Stats that I have to share with you. Definitely not like a lot to share, but is definitely cool to see. So yeah, let's see. So I definitely want to do this again for, I guess, what would be a 2023 finish parade. So we'll see how many, things I finish this year, and kind of what my stats are, so that maybe we can compare it to 2022 and see kind of what has changed and maybe what has stayed the same. So I think that would be really fun. I think I already said of the 10 finishes that I had, 6 of them were started this year. And let's see, my next video is going to be floss tube number 35, and that is going to be a week from today on January the 8th. This will be like a month between my last floss tube and the next one, so I have a hunch that it will be a longer video, and when I say longer video, I mean like more than 30 minutes, simply because I have worked on a lot of stuff that I have not talked to you guys about, between the WIP parade video and then this finish parade video. So yeah, and let's see, I did participate in 12 by 12. However, I did not stitch on 12 projects. I stitched on 1 project for the 12 hours. So I actually only got 7.5 hours done. That was on Sweetheart Campfire, and I will definitely share all that amazing progress with you in my next floss tube update. So yeah. I think that's all I have to share with you today. I hope you really enjoyed my finish parade. If you watched my WIP parade, I hope you really enjoyed that as well. And you should totally let me know which one was your favorite project that I showed you today. And let me know what favorite finish of yours that you had this year. I think that'd be really fun to talk about in the comments. So yeah, like I said, I think that's it for today. If I keep talking, I'm just gonna ramble into like gibberish. So I will let you go. Hope you have a very happy new year, and I will see you guys next week in my next floss tube update. Bye.